Hello Flat Earth researchers, debaters and debunkers. Just sat here enjoying the view with my daughter, and so I thought I'd share that and a few thoughts while we're at it. This is the view of the garden. Just going to prop that on the balcony there. Oh, careful, don't touch it, very heavy. Yeah. Rambutans over there on the right. Oops, just try and zoom in on them. They're ripe, ready to be picked. They just produce lots and lots and lots of fruit this time of year. It's interesting though, this one is another rambutan tree, but it always produces fruit a little bit later than that one. It's very interesting. They have their own rhythms. Coconut trees over there, which just constantly produce coconuts. They just don't stop. They just don't stop. They just keep on growing. And they drop on the ground, and we can pick them up, and we can use them for the juice. And the meat gets turned into coconut milk for curries and things like that. And then we can use the shells for all sorts of things, just making things, just like wood. So, what I've been thinking about is time, and how whatever model, sorry I can't hold this with my kid in mind. Alright, the camera survived the drop just now. Okay, to illustrate my point, here is a clock, and it's telling the time. It's our way of telling the time. Time is something that is just merely, well, not merely, but it's the here and now. That's it. The here and now. It's time. Passes. And so maybe I've knocked the battery out or something. Yes, okay, I need that to carry on going. So you can see the second hand is going around very smoothly, that's quite a good representation of time passing. It's not clicking round in 1 second intervals, it is just smoothly moving round. So this dividing it up into seconds, minutes, hours, in divisions of 60 is our artificial way of telling the time, of explaining what the time is. We can have the hands going around the clock, or we can have the clock face moving around to a stationary hand. If they're moving at the same rate, it would still be the same. We are just telling the time in our way. And of course, what do we get? We get a circle. A circle is easily divided into 60 parts. So when we make, of course, a clock doesn't have to be like this. A clock can be a candle that gradually goes down, or it can be an egg timer with sand running through glass, because it goes at a certain rate, just illustrating the passage of time for us. So for the humans to have a way of telling time in a visual way, then we have the clock, a circle, 360 degrees, which can be easily reversed to have the face turning, or whatever. It's just a way of telling the time. But as we see from the second hand, time is actually just passing by like this. It's a flow. This idea of tick, 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 tick is the human way of fitting time into a circle that can be illustrated, yeah? So anyway, back on the garden. So, you know, what we're doing with any kind of model, a heliocentric model, a geocentric model of the Earth and the stars, the sun and the moon moving, is just using a way of illustrating the passage of time. Yeah, and of course, you know, you have to have time, or time is part of a physical existence. Yeah, if we go to some other kind of plane or dimension, then maybe, you know, a dimension doesn't have to have time, does it? Our dimension is one of physical dimension here in a time. So, okay, these rambutan trees that are flowering and producing fruits at their own rhythm, time of year. This one doesn't have any fruit yet. The flowers are starting to come. And this one is ripe. Well, they have their own clocks. They're going by nature's time, Earth time. Yeah, they're attuned with Earth time. Isn't that fantastic that this one will flower and then this one will flower? So that gives us fruit for several months. Yeah, it's amazing. But my point here is models, the choice of a model to tell the time. So of course the heliocentric model, this illustration of the Earth moving around spinning and then orbiting the sun, is just a way of telling the time. It's just an illustration of the passage of time. Yeah? And also is the geocentric model, just observing the parts of the clock in the sky moving and recording that, and you know, but then of course this is why we have a globe, because it is a three-dimensional representation of the passage of time in circles, using geometry, the preferred way of illustrating things for a mathematician. You know, the numbers can be turned into an image. And if you're mathematically minded, then the numbers can kind of create those images in your head. They don't need to be drawn for you. They're just there. That's your preferred language. Yeah. Artists and or a musician might think in colours or moods or emotions, which have nothing to do with mathematics, do they? Yeah. So they both have, you know, these two different kinds of people, a mathematician and a musician, have totally different languages that they use for translating what they see. Yeah, a mathematician might see a sunrise and want to time it, see how long it takes, and then try to create some kind of relationship to the time it takes to rise and set and all that. Whereas a musician or an artist will maybe not be so concerned about the time. It lasts. They just want to express their adoration for the beauty of what they see. And of course, the mathematician is emotionally attached to the beauty of the circle or the square or the pentagon or whatever, you know, the numbers, that's a beauty in itself. Yeah, so we all see and interpret the beauty of this world in different ways, in our own internal way. And of course we also have our own individual way of translating the passage of time. The passage of time in an objective reality, yeah? Because time, really, the passage of time is really a subjective thing. It passes quickly when you're having fun, and it passes very slowly when you're bored, yeah? Or maybe sad or whatever, you know? So time passes at different rates, depending on our emotion or our state of mind, yeah? That's what time is for us. And of course, you know, you lead a kind of high octane lifestyle, then you are going to burn out more quickly. If you lead a kind of more paced lifestyle, then you might last a bit longer. You know, so the passage of time for each individual is their thing, and they interpret it in their way, whether it's with a mathematical mind or with a creative artistic mind or whatever, you know. But what we have is, with the heliocentric model that's been promoted as our unarguable reality, is just, for example, the one mathematical way interpretation of the passage of time. The sun, the moon, everything moving, the eclipses, you know, whatever, they are certain markers in the passage of time, but to say what is moving is a matter of interpretation. So if you want to say that the Earth is moving and you want to use geometry, then yes, you have to turn the Earth into a globe in order to do that. If you want to say that put the sun at the center, you can't have a flat disk with the sun at the center, because you know, the day and night thing becomes a problem. But with a globe, a globe solves the problem of day and night, because then you can rotate the globe and have half lit and half in darkness. Yeah, it's just a way of illustrating, you know, day and night, and then dividing that up into, you know, whatever, the years, the months, the days, the weeks, the minutes, the seconds, the nanoseconds, whatever. How much do you want to divide time up by? You know, sure, it's great for things like global communication, or scheduling things in which people need to be somewhere, to go somewhere at a particular time. A train needs to leave at a particular time, so everyone knows when to get on board. But you know, you could go to maybe some less developed country than somewhere in Europe where the trains run by the minute or the second. You could go to a country where the train runs when it's full. And, well, does it matter which one is one better than the other? Well, you know, if you're rushing, you know, you might have to rush to catch a train that's going on schedule, and all sorts of crazy things can happen when you rush. But if a train just waits till everyone's on board, or it's full or whatever, and then off it plods, you know, within a certain time frame, within a half hour or hour's time frame, then why not? You know, this is just, there isn't a right and a wrong way to be doing these things. If you go to Germany, you know the train's going to arrive almost to the second. If you know, spend time in Thailand or some other, you know, other country that has a less strict adherence to time, then, you know, the train will go when it's ready, will go in its time, just like these rambutan trees flower and produce fruit in their time. Yeah. For me to sit here and demand that they produce fruit at the same time is is quite insane, really, when you think about it. So to project my idea of time onto something else or someone else is ridiculous, and that's what's happened though with globalization, this kind of global schedule, time zones and all this stuff. Yeah, everything has to be divided up into circles, and of course the end, you know, like I said, you know, that basically everything works by a circle. Yeah, whether it's, you know, flight plans or what have you, you know, everything is done in circles of geometry. The only reason you need a globe in this case is because there's a choice putting the hey, dog wants to chase the postman. That's enough, Brownie, come. All right, what's up? Hey, what's up, postman? Hey, want to chase the postman? It's alright. Bye, Sunny. Mai, yun nila. Brownie pie. Yeah? So, you see, of course, the problem we have is that we've been told and shown these images of things going on in space, and we've been given this belief that these things that mark the passage of time in the sky are physical objects that we can go and visit and lay and touch. This is the biggest problem that faces us. They've basically tried to create or have us perceive this physical reality out of the hands of the big clock in the sky. Yeah. So that's the biggest problem. This is the only reason that people would consider flat Earth such a ridiculous idea, because we've been told over and over again how how everything supposedly works. Check out these things. They have a defense mechanism. When they get touched, they fold up and they just look dead. So if I was an animal coming along and eating these things, they close up and they pass the message on. There we go. I think you carry on doing it, yeah, and then the others slowly get the idea. Isn't that cool, huh? That's so they don't look appetizing anymore. They don't look like anything good to eat. They just look dead. Intelligence in everything that's around us. Ow. And I've just disturbed a bunch of ants. Sorry about that. But yeah. There you go. So, models. Demanding a certain model and how it should work physically is such a ridiculous thing, because that's what's got into our heads, is that this passage of time that we see in our physical reality must somehow have a model that sticks to this idea of dividing everything up into circles and divisions of 60. Yeah? So the heliocentric model is nothing more than a choice of how humans want to tell the time. Thank you very much.